Here we go.
Huzzah, huzzah, Anita Sarkeesian is calling it quits. For those who don't know who Anita is, she's a Canadian-American feminist, media critic, and public speaker. She is the founder of Feminist Frequency, a website that hosts videos and commentary analyzing portrayals of women in popular culture, specifically video games. And when I say her website hosts videos on those topics, I really mean links that point to her YouTube channel, which by last count has 213,000 subs. More on that in a minute. But her major claim to fame is the whole Gamergate controversy that started back in 2014. Now, I don't have the time to go into the events surrounding Gamergate, but in short, a group of female activists declared war on video games and the men who played them because they suddenly decided they were offensive and misogynistic, and they believed the best way to combat this issue was to push for equal representation in the gaming industry. That meant hiring more women as developers, writers, and executives, and pushing for the creation of female characters that reflected their radicalized views. Basically, it was an effort to bring the gaming industry under gynocentric authority, even though its consumer base is 90% male. And they were able to do that by essentially lying. You see, around the time that Gamergate started, there were a bunch of fake studies claiming women comprised anywhere between 40 and 50% of the gaming market, that women gamers actually outnumbered male gamers under age 18, making an argument that a large subsection of the gaming community was comprised of women, and that it would be beneficial for developers to create games that catered to a broader female audience. But when you delve deeper into the stats, you discover that isn't true. The overwhelming majority of these alleged women gamers were mobile game players. Basically, women like to play puzzle games on their phones and tablets. You know, the free crap you find in the app stores. They play games like Candy Crush, Words with Friends, and Angry Birds. In short, women in general are not real gamers. They're not playing Call of Duty, NBA 2K, Resident Evil, Street Fighter, or Elden Ring. By and large, they aren't console or PC gamers. But even if those numbers were true, that women are 40 to 50% of the gaming market, the gaming industry was doing just fine the way things were. Video games had overtaken movies 20 years ago as the dominant form of entertainment in America, and is currently 8 times bigger than the film industry. They didn't need any help reaching a broader audience. They were already making obscene amount of money, and the women that played these alleged misogynistic games loved them the way that they were. They didn't ask for more representation. They understood and accepted the fact that these games were created for men. So this move to overhaul the gaming industry wasn't organic. This was not a result of millions of women complaining for equality. It was a result of a handful of feminists who in all likelihood never played games. Now, I speak more on this issue, the myth of the woman gamer, in this video. Please check it out, it's some of my best work. But getting back to the topic at hand, Anita Sarkeesian calling it quits. Obviously, gamers were ecstatic to see her website and possibly her YouTube channel go away, because she did a lot of damage to the gaming industry. And before I explain her impact, I want to give a shout out to the world-class bullshit YouTube channel. Although I grew up as a gamer, I wasn't as involved by the time the Gamergate controversy kicked off, so I wasn't aware of all the damage that Anita caused. And they discussed this entire situation in depth a couple of days ago, and I gleaned a lot of information from them. You can check out their take on the situation here. But getting back to Anita, she was celebrated as the one. She was listed on Times Magazine Most Influential People on the Internet. She won a Peabody Award for her work on Feminist Frequency and was honored in Cosmo Magazine. So the mainstream media championed her cause, and she had a seat at the table. Anita was a well-regarded consultant for several major game development companies, and allegedly, she had a lot of input on the Last of Us sequel. You know, the one that everyone hated, with the masculine or trans-looking lead character. She also had some input into Forsaken, a game published by Square Enix that was so bad they shut down the entire studio responsible for creating it. So all of the woke garbage that started to creep into the gaming industry was courtesy of her influence, as well as others within the Gamergate controversy. which is odd because, aside from the awards that she's been given and the consultancy gigs she did not earn, she doesn't have any significant influence. I mentioned earlier that her website is nothing but a place that features links that direct you to her YouTube channel. Now again, she has 213,000 subs, but she doesn't have any views. And if you look at her most popular stuff, it's all from 10 years ago, at the height of the Gamergate controversy. Aside from that moment, she has no influence. She has no success. In short, she's a nobody. She's your typical angry misandrist who leveraged her 15 minutes of fame into a series of undeserved awards and high-paid consultancies. She's a flash in a pan that went cold a long time ago. And that's why I believe she's shutting down her website, because the gimmick is over. There's no more money in the hustle. She's not getting any views on YouTube, and companies have been shutting down their DEI departments, DEI being short for diversity and inclusion. Those jobs are going away because they're fake jobs. They don't generate revenue. To the contrary, they destroy brands. I mentioned some of the stuff Anita negatively influenced, but look at the MCU, Star Wars, Witcher, Rings of Power, Willow, and the Rings of Time. All of that inclusive garbage came out of those DEI departments, and consultants like Anita Sarkeesian. They destroyed those brands. And right now, the economy is in a bad spot, so companies are more focused on making money, not making sure some non-binary blue-haired snowflake with daddy issues is properly gendered or included.
Excuse me, it's ma'am. It is ma'am.
No one has time for that shit anymore. So I'm assuming, with all of those diversity and inclusion people being laid off, those consulting gigs have dried up as well. And I consider that a wonderful thing, because she ruined the gaming market, which was one of the last places men had all to themselves. And now it's gone. Gaming is now female compliant. And I personally am tired of everything men have needing to be gender inclusive, because we as men don't have our own spaces anymore. There is nothing that we have that is uniquely ours. The military, police department, fire department, barbershops, MCU, sports, ESPN is a female-serving institution now. Most of their sideline reporters are women. Their NBA draft coverage was dominated by women. And look at their recent layoffs. Most of the people they let go of were men. And if you're a man, be careful at the gym, because they are filled with attention-starved females that are constantly thirst-trapping. You know how they do, setting up cameras and bending over in front of men while wearing clothes tight enough to see their birth canals, just so they can catch a man looking and go viral when they post a video on the internet. So anime is about all we have left, and believe me, activists are not blind to that fact. They're trying to apply pressure, and so far Japan has held strong, but who knows for how long. But even in the midst of women taking everything from men, you notice they don't surrender anything that belongs to them. There's no move to make VH1, Bravo, or Lifetime male inclusive.
Yes.
Yeah, I understand.
Anyway, Anita Sarkeesian and her website are gone, but the damage she's caused is something we'll be dealing with for many years to come. And while she may be gone, the policies and ideas that she implemented are still ongoing and have transcended the gaming industry. And you can find her influence in shows like Secret Invasion. I did a video outlining the propaganda they had in that show in this video. Please be sure to check it out. So I'm going to end things right here, but before I go, follow me on my other social media platforms. And if you like this video, share the link. But most importantly, check out the other videos in my library. I'm sure there's something there you will enjoy. Here's a preview of my latest work. So why did I tell you that story? Why did I go over what happened to the Tea Party? Well, I believe the same tactics that the media used to take down the Tea Party will be used again. Except this time, it will be used on those content creators and podcasters who advocate for men. They're going to look for the worst representation of who we are and appoint them as the titular heads of our movement, the manosphere movement, the pro-masculine movement, the RP community, or whatever you want to call it. And they're going to use these poor representatives as the poster child for why this content doesn't belong on social media. And it's all Kevin Samuels' fault.
What?
That doesn't make sense.
Now I know that sounds crazy, but please hear me out. You see, the good thing about Kevin Samuels is that he was able to bring the concerns of men into the mainstream, and he did so in a manner that was palatable to women. And that's what made him so great. Even though his opinions were strong, provocative, and controversial, they didn't foment hatred towards women. To the contrary, women were his greatest supporters. They were his greatest allies, because he advocated for reconciliation between men and women and encouraged both to be better so they could build strong families and a strong community. Only a misandrist or an feminist would oppose his message. So overall, he was a great representative, the perfect representative, and it made him a household name. The bad thing about Kevin Samuels is that he unintentionally created a template for success. Through no fault of his own, he showed people how to get rich off of producing this type of content. And so within the past few years, particularly since his passing, we've seen an explosion of grifters and charismatic con artists trying to fill the void created in his absence. But these grifters and con artists are nothing like Kevin, because they don't share his goals or ambitions. Their primary motivation is to replicate his success, to make the kind of money he was making, because they see this entire movement as a hustle, something they can exploit. And they're a poor representation of what this entire movement is about. Again, I'm gonna date myself, but I remember when daytime talk shows were a thing, when we had hosts like Donahue, Oprah, Sally Jesse Raphael, who were having serious conversations about current topics in the news. But shortly after them, we had these ringmasters that saw the whole thing as something to exploit. And we started to see people like Morton Downey Jr., which laid the foundation for people like Jerry Springer. Maury Povich.
Pete, you are not.
And Jenny Jones.
Who's calling you in the middle of a show?
It's actually his horse. He wants his face back.
And their shows were nothing short of a spectacle, where all of those serious conversations that were initially being had on these shows were reduced to people fighting on the air, because they didn't see daytime talk shows as something to be taken serious. They simply saw it as entertainment, thus bastardizing the genre. And so these con artists, these grifters, these shock jocks and trigger marketers that we currently have in the manosphere space are no different. They've picked up our talking points and turned them into a low-brow echo chamber of sophomoric rants, because their only ambition is to go viral, just so they can get more views, subscriptions, more memberships, super chats, cash apps, and PayPal deposits. But there's no substance to what they're saying. They speak with no depth of knowledge or understanding, because they're not trying to fix anything. Their motivation is money alone. And the worst part about these idiots, that's all I have to say about it. What do you have to say about it? Leave a comment in the comment section and let's have a conversation. Okay, so you've heard me say this a million times. So if you like this video, please give it a like and leave a comment in the comments section and share the link on your social media platforms. And if you are new to my channel, please subscribe and turn on that notification bell. That way you'll get alerts every time I upload new content. This is the Layman's Journal. Thanks for stopping by. I'm out.
Hell! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
And while I do appreciate you sharing, subbing, and leaving comments, I'm going to ask that you take another step further in keeping the channel going. I set up a membership plan for those of you who would like to offer further support in the development of this channel. It's not anything expensive or special. I'm just asking for 99 cents a month, which is enough for me to continue doing the work that I do here.
Help me! Help me! Help me!
In the future, there will be additional tiers with added benefits, but for right now, I just need your support so that I can cover basic costs. So please, sign up so I can continue bringing you awesome content. This is the Layman's Journal. I'm out.